One of the national stories going on right now is a potential 17-game schedule. Sounds like Roger Goodell and the owners really want it, and you as the players have said, nah, not so fast. How do you feel about a potential 17-game schedule?
Yeah, I think I would be open to it. I think, again, the reality is, are you going to be compensated for the extra time? I think there's some ways that they can adjust preseason. I think we see a lot of injuries, and I think we see a lot of wear and tear on guys during training camp, 4 preseason games, joint practices. I think there's got to be some sort of common ground that we find prior to the season even starting. I think that's something that they can focus on. But playing 17 games, if the salary cap was adjusted and it led to more revenues and it led to more money being spread throughout the league and benefits and all the things that guys fight for, then, yeah, I don't think going from 16 to 17 would be too big of a burden, especially if you consider, adjusting what we do, in August, in July and August and the training camp and cutting down on some of the preseason games. So I definitely think there's some common ground we can find. I know personally I would not be opposed to it.
So that's the one thing that we keep hearing, that the bodies of the players take so much abuse. There's already so many injuries toward the end of the season, everybody banged up, that adding another game into the mix would be difficult. But in your mind, that's not a huge concern, huh?
I think guys are going to be banged up. I think guys are going to be hurt. I think that's the reality that we face today. I also think if you ask guys, playing 4 preseason games, even if guys aren't playing in them, so to speak, it's still a handful of reps. You're still out there. You're still getting banged around. I think training camp practices have gotten better over the years. I still think there's, a conversation to be had. Does it need to be as long? Does it need to be, away from your facility? Does it need to be 14 hours a day? I think there's a lot of those conversations that can be kind of settled on. But again, if you ask me, are we going to play for the same amount of money and just add games? Obviously, that's a non-starter. And as we all know, all these negotiations are, a leverage for the owners to make more money and the players to get a bigger cut out of it. That's, at the end of the day, anything other than those two arguments are just sideshows. That's really what it comes down to. The players want a larger cut of the cap, not just for salary cap, not just for money, but that's where our benefits come from, both during and post-career. There's so many factors that come from that, and that's the dominating topic of these negotiations, and everything else is kind of secondary.